Good morning, everybody. Today's Friday. This is Rachel with Whimsy Ray's Artistry. And the reason I am here this morning is to share with you how to make, on a budget, homemade textured paste. And I apologize for my glasses kind of showing through there. Again, this is Rachel with Whimsy Ray's Artistry. You can find me on my website, which is now available, whimsyraysartistry.com. So, I just wanted to start off with sharing with you, this is what we're going to do today. So this is My Shasta Daisies. I did this a few weeks ago, a live video, and I don't like this part. We're going to fix that, and since my signature is textured mixed media, we're going to add some background, like maybe a little fence back here, a little lattice fence, with our textured paste that we're going to make today. So let's get started. So I tried to improve the lighting, so I'm going to try to kind of hide that and focus it in a little bit more on what we're doing. So over here, we're going to focus in on this area over here. Try to adjust the lighting maybe a little bit more that direction and not so much in your face. Okay, so come a little bit closer and I'll show you what we're doing. Okay, so I learned this recipe online with a lady named Linnea Holland-Donner. So I probably may not have said that right, but I'm going to add that to the YouTube edited version of this video later down the road. But making your own textured paste is what it's called. And you can just look that up exactly and you'll find her. Her name is Linnea Holland-Donner. Anyway, she has a very simple recipe that you can purchase the products with from home, or you might already have them. But what we're going to use, baby powder, Elmer's glue. As you can see, I buy bulk. And we're going to use, now I'm going to make mine slightly different than hers. I'm going to make mine with my own homemade gesso because it already has some calcium carbonate in it, and I want it to be a little bit more textured and creamy. So we're going to do that with my own homemade gesso. So I made this homemade gesso probably a few days ago. And as you can see, it's kind of liquidy still, and it's because I ran out of an ingredient called calcium carbonate, which is what you use to make homemade gesso with. And I'll add that to another video, which I'll show you. So this is textured paste. This is Patina Effect, my favorite color, blue. Patina blue, and I probably show this in other videos, but I just love this color. And it's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. And I'm going to show you some more things about that also down the road. I'm so excited because there's a lot going on with Whimsy Ray's Artistry. So this is my idea. I thought about taking and maybe adding some little butterflies, or, and like I said, a couple of stencils here. Not quite sure. So before I make more of a mess, let's do first things first. Textured paste. So I've added 1 cup of baby powder, which is about, this is like a half cup, right? So I added 2 of these to make 1 cup of baby powder in here. And this is going to be my textured paste jar. This is just a pickle jar, and I love pickles. So there you go. So one way I recycle a lot of my items. So this is a fourth cup of Elmer's glue. Going right in there. So this is really cool about mixed media art or textured art. It's another thing I like to do. Definitely save money and create really cool stuff. Okay, so we're going to set this down. And I'm going to take my little scraper and scrape out some of this glue. And I apologize if you notice my voice probably gets a little bit less when I turn my head. But again, it's because my iPhone does not connect very well with my microphone. And until I can get a, hang on just a second, that's my TENS unit. I'm going to shut that baby off for now before I electrocute myself. Okay, so what we're going to do, scrape this out. Trying to do this in a timely manner, which is very difficult to master. And then I'm going to add equivalent to a cup of my gesso. So I'm going to try a half cup first. And then I'm going to see how thick it is, and I'll show it to you once I get done mixing all this good stuff up. So this is just a basic canning jar. I tend to make my own pickles and can my own items as much as possible. I can potatoes and vegetables, and I'm thinking about doing another YouTube channel on that. But that's a question I might do on my personal Facebook page, ask people if they're interested in seeing things like that on a YouTube channel, that I might post some things on that. And so this is my kebab stick, and I'm going to use the flat end. And I'm just going to mix that up. I want you to see it blending and mixing, and it's going all over the place. But the surface on my floor, I have a mat, a plastic mat on my floor to kind of help protect my carpeting. And yes, I have some carpeting. So this is very thick, as you can see. So that's with the half cup, right, of my thin gesso. So I knew it's going to be very thick, but I wanted that. So I'm going to go ahead and blend in another. This is a 1/4 cup. So I'm just going to do it like so. To make a half, I'm going to make 2 1/4 cups in there because it was just the first thing I saw, so I grabbed it. No particular rhyme or reason as to why I did that. And again, this is all, of course, a live video, so again, you're getting the first dibs of what I'm doing today. So I'm going to mix this up. Just going to keep mixing and stirring. You could probably hear all that mixing and blending going on. So I'm going to sit this on my lap so I can really mix it. And then I'll show it to you. Now again, my homemade gesso has white paint already in it. And I'm not really too concerned about the paint part of it because I'm going to cover the top of my stencil with the paint, and of course you can also color this paste. But I will say that when you add paint in different colors to your pastes, I would test it on a small, in a smaller container to see how you like the effect. And sometimes I will say, when I've done this in the past, some of the paint, depending on what type you use, will tend to make the paste crack. It becomes like a crackle paste instead of, you know, a smooth paste, which is what you tend to want when you're making stencils, is kind of a smoother paste. So because I'm such a texture connoisseur type person, I guess you could say, I will say this. A lot of my texture pastes I like kind of thick. A lot of people, when they're doing like scrapbooking, things like that, they tend to like it a little bit less thick and more on the creamier texture side. And I will say that even when you purchase pastes, I have noticed that different color pastes will have different thickness to them, which is quite interesting. So be aware of that if you're just going to go ahead and purchase your own paste, like this one, that patina paste I was showing you. Let's see. You can, but it's a bit pricey in my opinion. But if you are into scrapbooking, it's worth the purchase as long as you remember to keep the lid sealed on it, keep it closed as tight as possible. It'll last a long time. I've noticed mine will last up to 10 months if I keep it sealed really well. But if I'm using it quite a bit, it will definitely go quickly because of the color that I like in there, which makes a difference. So I try not to use a whole lot of it, but if you like the color, then use it, you know. So I'm mixing this really good because I tend to like mixing things. So I'm going to go ahead and keep mixing. Okay, let's see here. Make sure I have like a napkin or something close by. Excuse me for a second. Okay. All right, so this is pretty much good enough, and I'm going to show you what it looks like. It looks like pancake batter. Now, this is kind of interesting because it's still kind of heavy, on the heavy side, but yet it's also got a lot of pieces of probably baby powder in there that maybe if I would have used a whisk, maybe it'd be different. It still could blend out even more if I maybe used a whisk to it. Perhaps, maybe not. It could be that the paint is also in there. I have some heavy body white paint in there. That could be what it is. It's just depending on, I think it's just my mixture, in other words. If you go by the recipe that Linnea did, she just used baby powder. I don't think it clumped up like this. But again, this is what mine looks like. So here's the thing with this. It's very thick, right? However, this is not going to keep its form once I put it in a stencil. It's too thin still to stay in the stencil, within the stencil I'm going to use. It's too thin. So even still, now when you're looking at it, when I blend it, it looks, like I said, awfully thick. But to give you an idea, let's say, I'm going to see if I can just put it, yeah, I can put it right on the surface and you'll see what I'm talking about. So here's the thing. As it falls, you see how it doesn't hold its form. It just becomes a drop instead of holding its form. And that's the difference between your pastes and like gesso and just a heavy body paint. Now your heavy body paint, like for example, this white is going to stand up. Like if I'm doing a really cool mixed media and I want it to stand up and I want you to see my paintbrush stroke, you'll see it right there in that white. As you can see, this is going to start to run. See that? This is going to hold its shape, its texture right here. If you can see that, I hope. It's very small and I apologize, but I think you get the idea. So, in order to thicken it, I can do one of two things. I can add some of this heavy body white to it, which is what I'm going to do since I don't like to waste. But it definitely needs more baby powder. So that's what we're going to do, is add some baby powder to it. So I'm just going to add a little bit more at a time. I know that's a lot more than, but again, this is so that you can see how much it would require to make this stand up. And remember, this is a paste. So we want it to be almost clay-like.